Hi, I'm Kip Lyons, Executive Director of CMF International. I just returned from hiking Mount Kilimanjaro with 21 other hikers who all committed to climbing Kilimanjaro, but also raising funds to help support Mohi's Jaska Girls High School. We were raising funds to build new classrooms at the girls' high school. There's a couple things I'd love to share with you that I learned while I was up on Mount Kilimanjaro. The first thing that I learned is that climbing mountains is not a healthy thing to do. Living up at 19,000 feet would not be something that anyone would do for a long period of time. At that altitude, you have trouble breathing, your body has trouble doing activity, you have trouble digesting food, you don't even want to eat food at 19,000 feet. So it's not a healthy place to stay. And what I learned from that experience was that as we climb mountains, and I reflected on this, even the mountains that are in our life, getting to the top of the mountain is a great goal, and you get there, but it's not the place to stay. When we're climbing mountains, there are a lot of other things that happen along the way. And even on this trip, with the 22 of us climbing for the purpose of raising support for Jaska Girls High School, 22 of us climbing with the purpose of trying to get to the summit of the mountain, it wasn't the summit that was the point of the trip. The point was that we were introducing folks all over the world to Mohi, to the high school, to the needs at the girls' high school, that we were raising that support. And even as we were hiking the 4 days up and the 2 days down from the top of Mount Kilimanjaro, we were finding out that some of the purpose of this trip was meeting each other and building relationships and thinking about our families and spending time in prayer as we were going up the mountain. So as we climbed through the rainforest and as we hiked through the desert highlands, as we hiked through the grasslands and the different climates all the way up to the glacier at the top of Mount Kilimanjaro, we recognized that the beauty of climbing the mountain was in the hikes on the way up, not just getting to the summit. And it reminded me of looking in Scripture at the times when Jesus climbed mountains. And there are a number of times when we're told that Jesus went up on a mountain. But it wasn't a place for Jesus to stay. He had a purpose. He went up on the mountain to pray. He went up on the mountain to make decisions about who his disciples should be. He went up on the mountain to step away from the crowds so that he could prepare for what was coming next. But it was never a place where Jesus would stay for a long period of time. So even as we climbed Kilimanjaro, we were thinking about what are the things that God is teaching us? What are we learning from God as we listen to him as we climb this mountain? And it was really about coming off the mountain after we had reached the summit and coming down and telling the story of what God is doing at Mohi, at the girls' high school, and then also reflecting on what we learned about our own lives as we were climbing the mountain and had come down. There's a story in the Gospel of John about Jesus meeting a woman at a well. And this also connected with me while I was on Mount Kilimanjaro, where the disciples and Jesus arrive at the Samaritan village. They meet a woman at the well, and Jesus sends the disciples into the closest town to go get food and to bring the food back so that they could share a meal together. Jesus enters into a discussion with this woman, and she finds out that Jesus really is the Messiah. And she herself goes to town, the same town that the disciples had been at. And she tells the people in the town that they should come to the well and meet Jesus. She tells them, he's told me everything I've ever done. Could he be the Messiah? And she encourages them to go and meet Jesus. And too often, we're the disciples in this story. We've gone to the town, we've got a task to do, we've got a list of things to accomplish, and we've missed the point of why we're there. What's our purpose in life? The disciples come back and they've missed the point. They've missed the purpose. They've gone to town, they've gotten food, but they didn't tell anybody about Jesus. They didn't invite people to come see Jesus. It was the woman who went and invited them. And so as we climb mountains like Mount Kilimanjaro, as we reach high points in our life, Too often we're focused on those lists of tasks and the accomplishments that we want to achieve, and we miss the point and the purpose of what we're about. And so I learned on Mount Kilimanjaro that we need to focus more on who we are as followers of Jesus, that we need to focus on what God is calling us to do each day in our daily lives, that it's not just about that list of tasks and the accomplishments that we might achieve in our life. So I'm thankful to have gone on this trip to Mount Kilimanjaro. I'm thankful for the 21 other people that I climbed with who raised support to build new classrooms at the girls' high school in Jaska. I've just received a report that even though our goal was to raise $175,000 for those classrooms, we've just now reached over $300,000 that's been committed and received for those classrooms. And I'm very excited about the success in that level of how the trip went. But I'm even more excited that there's a whole group of people who have been able to share the purpose of their lives, of reaching out to others, telling others about Jesus, sharing about the transformation that's happening through CMF and Mohi in Kenya, and that will continue to spread the good news that God is wanting us to share with all people.